Alrighty, here we go.
Hello, how are you?
Good, mate. Ready to
to
talk
see
about the World Cup?
Yes, we are.
Alrighty, sick. Who do you think can win?
I'm going to say South Africa, just because they've been looking very deadly lately, consistently,
So you
drawing
think
the
they will win?
fullbacks. I think they'll win, but I mean, coming out of their pool, they'll definitely come out of their pool. It's New Zealand, South Africa.
Yeah, what do you think about that first game?
That's going to be big. That's going to be big.
Kind of reckon, like, with Retallick not being able to play the first game and Owen Franks not even being picked in the 31-man squad, I reckon that forward pack is going to get absolutely trod on by South Africa. I think the South African forward pack and the physicality is just going to
See ya, Khaleesi's
dominate.
back. The
Yeah.
bear making a return.
Yeah, so I think South Africa will be good early on in the World Cup, but I'm not sure that their culture is right
Yeah.
for like a 5-week tournament. I think there's going to be cracks off the field that are going to start to show. Like Ebenezer, didn't he just get done for like,
He did.
he was like pointing a gun at some homeless dude or something?
I don't know the details, but what I have read on Rugby Pass is that his court case is going to be after the World Cup, so maybe that might clear his head up a bit. But also speaking of Piwi Dianti,
Yeah,
failed his second drug
Doping?
test,
yeah,
doping, formally being charged.
So,
Unless Rugby or South Africa can come out of the woodwork with something to prove it's not real.
South Africa's in the news for all the wrong reasons. So, like, yeah, I think that'll start to get to the team over a long tournament,
Yeah.
and it'll start to show on the field. But I reckon for that first game against New Zealand, South Africa's got to be the bet.
Any players you reckon for South Africa that will stand out for the tournament? I could think of one. Actually, I could think of two. I'll give you a guess.
Yeah, number 10,
Andre Pollard.
Andre Pollard.
Definitely.
He's a beast.
He's been a
On
beast
fire in the
lately.
Rugby Championship.
Faf de Klerk.
Faf de Klerk.
Faf
I've
de
never
Klerk.
really been fully sold on him, to be honest.
I love him. He's a beast. I followed him in his form in Sales Sharks. He was a beast. And then that game for South Africa, he was playing in New Zealand, got injured, had to come off. I think that was a bit of a loss for South Africa,
Yeah.
but he's a fucking beast.
It's quite interesting that South Africa's like opened the floodgates this year. They're just allowed to pick from anywhere. And you know how we have the Giddo law that says like, well,
70
it'll be
tests or something?
60 tests, yeah, to be able to get picked if you're not playing in the Super Rugby.
Yeah.
South Africa's just said, nah, we're going to pick from anywhere.
Yeah.
And then like dudes like Faf de Klerk and there's
Yeah.
a few other huge names.
Willie LaRue. He's
Yeah, just
not
getting
playing in
picked
South
from
Africa.
France and England and stuff. So
But on that side of the story, I think it's very necessary that South Africa Rugby did that. Otherwise, they would have been struggling
yeah,
big
but
time.
it kind of opens the floodgates in terms of every player is going to go to Europe now.
Yeah.
Because they know they can get picked anyway, and it's going to mean that the South African
Yeah.
teams in the Super Rugby are going to be trash.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
all their good South African players are going to be in Europe.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
Well, there's a trade-off, I guess. Good
Yeah.
national team or weak, I guess, league in South Africa
yeah.
and representative teams from South Africa.
Well, then I guess the other issue with that, like you see in the Pacific Islands, is all their players play in France and England,
Exactly.
and they get paid heaps of money. And then when it's time to come back and play for Samoa or Tonga or something like that,
Fiji.
they don't get paid much. So
Yeah.
it's actually in their best interest to just stay in Europe, get
Like
paid
that,
more. Or,
The guy, the centre for Ireland, I keep forgetting his name. He started playing for them last year.
he's not playing.
He is playing. He's the centre for Ireland. He's an Islander. Oh, his name will come to me. He's
All
a
good.
big name.
But yeah, another issue with that, just because Samoa's rugby union actually went into debt.
Did they?
Yeah, they fully went bankrupt.
Oh my gosh.
So a bunch of the islands, Fiji does okay, but Tonga and Samoa can't afford to pay their players. And I think Namibia's in a similar state. And there was talk of maybe those three teams not making it to the World Cup. Yeah, so see what happens. But maybe we should go through the pools.
Yeah, let's do it.
Alrighty. So Pool A, Ireland, Scotland, Japan, Russia, and Samoa. Obviously got the host nation there. and Ireland looked like they could have taken the top spot in the world rankings the other day, but
They didn't.
ended up getting destroyed by England. So
Yeah.
but they're up there or thereabouts. So
But with that said, these big teams is clearly showing it's a bit of a trend. Big names and two big countries playing against each other. Used to be able to close battle, used to be able to call that, but nowadays it's a bit hard to do that with New Zealand and Australia playing at Optus Stadium in Perth. Australia pumped New Zealand. The following week it was the opposite way around. England beat Wales convincingly. Following week, Wales win.
yeah,
Ireland get pumped. It's just hard to call. But I think a strong team in Pool A, definitely going to be Japan. I think they're going to be a very strong host nation.
I'd say Ireland has to top that pool.
They have to top that pool, yeah.
Ireland's got to top that pool. Scotland beat France recently. Same thing again though. France beat Scotland. Then the week later, Scotland came back and beat them. So we're seeing a lot of just the home teams winning, and it's completely flipping each week.
I would like to see Ireland top Pool A because they're an outstanding team. But what I would also really like to see is a really good battle between Scotland and Japan for that second spot.
Yeah, so that's the last game of the pool stages.
Yeah,
that's
all
the
right.
very last game, before the quarterfinals. So it's basically going to be Scotland versus Japan. Who's going to the quarterfinals?
Yeah, that's
And
also
absolutely huge.
Pool A. Absolutely love the fact that Russia and Japan are opening the World Cup. I
Yeah.
think that's going to be beast.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very long World Cup for Russia. Though.
Yes. Yeah.
They got absolutely pumped by Italy the other week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's going to be a long one for Russia. So are we tipping Japan to get over Scotland? I mean,
don't
two
know.
very passionate nations going at
Scotland in the last World Cup as well were a very good team.
it. Well, they nearly knocked Australia out.
They nearly knocked Australia, but it's 4 years, so a lot has changed. I'm going to say Japan, just with past experiences, recently beating Fiji comfortably.
That's no easy feat.
Yeah, I think Japan are gonna topple Scotland.
Okay, so we'll go Ireland to top the pool, Japan to upset Scotland,
Yeah,
and Scotland to not make it through the quarters.
yeah.
Alright, and I think Samoa will take that fourth spot. Russia's going to finish last.
Yeah, it's a hard one. Not many teams put big points on Samoa because I'm just now thinking of bonus points and all that.
Yeah.
And Japan doesn't really put big points on teams. Scotland, they've done it before. It's just hard.
I think whichever two teams make it out of that pool are going to have some pretty sore bodies after
Yeah.
versing Samoa.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
either way, they're probably going to be in trouble as soon as they get to the quarters.
Samoa come out to get that smoke.
Yeah, well, Samoa won't be in the quarters, but their impact will be heard,
Yeah.
and there'll be some injured bodies by
Yeah,
the time the other two
definitely.
get to quarters.
Some
Alright.
injured people.
Pool B. So we've got the heavyweights, the three-time world champions, New Zealand, and we've got almost equally as heavyweight South Africa, who have also won two World Cups.
Mm.
So New Zealand and South Africa, absolutely huge. Italy, consistently the worst of the Six Nations. Namibia, lucky to be at the World Cup.
Lucky. Yeah,
And
very lucky.
Canada's
Yeah.
okay, but
Yeah.
I'd say New Zealand and South Africa, without a doubt,
Yeah.
are progressing through that pool.
Yeah, just who's going to be at the top is all going to depend really on that game. They play each other,
On the very second day of the World Cup.
but also
Yeah.
New Zealand put big points on. South Africa do put big points on, but with the stats in the past, New Zealand put big points on. And Italy, Namibia, Canada, I think they have a very big potential to put big points on and get those bonus points over South Africa. So
Yeah.
as much as I hate to say it, being a South African fan, I think New Zealand should top it, the ladder. But if South Africa beat them,
Yeah,
it's going to be a hard one.
As I said earlier, with Retallick and Owen Franks being out
Yeah.
of that first game,
Yeah, it's
well,
true,
Owen Franks not
actually.
in the squad, that forward dominance is going to be huge, especially when South Africa plays a forward-dominated style of game. They just dominate the rucks and walls, and then have a really strong kicking game through
Physical.
Collard.
Yeah, strong.
So if South Africa can keep the ball, maintain possession for that whole game, or majority of it,
That's what Australia did.
that's how Australia beat New
Yeah.
Zealand. South
Those
Africa's definitely capable
The
of
stats are
beating
like
them.
half time where it's something ridiculous, like 85% of the ball was held by Australia.
The
New
thing
Zealand
is,
just couldn't get it.
you just drop the ball 3 times, New Zealand's going to pick it up and run the whole field.
Yeah, and score.
So it's just that counter attack, making sure that we don't allow South Africa to capitalise on your mistakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a tough one to call. South
Yeah.
Africa versus New Zealand.
Less than a month from now.
Sorry?
Less
Yeah.
than a month until they play.
21 days, I think it is.
Too excited.
I think Italy will comfortably finish third. Canada will probably beat Namibia, I'd say.
Wouldn't know. Italy or Canada in my books to finish third.
I think Italy will beat Canada.
I think that'll be a good game actually.
Italy-Canada to be a good game.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good game. I mean, it'll be the good game in terms that 2 teams going at it, but obviously it won't be a game most people will be looking at to watch.
Yeah, bit of a niche one.
Yeah, a niche game, but I think that'll be a good game for those nations. I mean, Canada beating Italy, that's a big win in their books, I assume.
And that's exactly what they're there to do, because if you finish third in your group, you don't have to qualify for the next World Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
So Canada will be coming to this pool thinking we can qualify for 2023 right here if they scalp the Italy game.
Yeah.
They'll be getting up for that game
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely yeah, that's a good point. I think they'll be going in the New Zealand South Africa game, just looking to make an experience of it.
Yeah.
Not get hurt, have some fun. But definitely Canada, they're going to be coming out guns blazing to win that.
That would be fantastic if Italy had to qualify.
So that would,
just a kick in the guts. Well, there's talk of the Six Nations and the second division of Six Nations introducing relegation and promotion.
That's good.
Just because Georgia's been so good recently and
Romania.
Italy's been so bad. Yeah, Romania as well.
Portugal actually I was following the elimination process for the remaining teams to qualify for the World Cup, and the Portugal men's team pumped the Canada team. Something like 47-21. Portugal,
Yeah.
Portugal, good team, but then they lost to someone and they got kicked out.
I'm pretty sure Portugal are ranked like 17 or 18 at the moment, but they were just unlucky to not make the qualifiers at the time.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're not in the 20 teams that are in the World Cup.
Yeah.
But move on to Pool C. Alright, this is arguably the pool of death, I think.
Yeah.
Either this or Pool D.
Yeah.
England, France, Argentina, USA, and Tonga. England are the only Northern Hemisphere team to win a World Cup. So they'll be looking to do that again, I think.
It's hard, that pool.
Argentina just keeps coming strength to strength every year, gets better and better.
But the sad thing about Argentina, it happened in the Rugby Championship this year. They get so close. And it happens almost every year. They just get so close. The Pumas in the Super Rugby, outstanding team, went to the final. Got close, but lost.
Yeah, lost to
It's
Crusaders.
hard. Argentina are a very good team. France, on the other hand, I think are weaker than previous years.
Yeah, well, France weren't incredible in 2011 and they made it all the way to the grand final.
Yeah,
So I think France they're a nation that always gets up come World Cup time. So,
they got Dupont at 9,
yeah,
who's expected to be the 9 of the tournament from a dream team, a rugby pass made.
yeah, right.
I don't really know how well he plays though. But you were saying Tonga?
So yeah, Pool C. We've got England, France, Argentina, USA, Tonga. I'd say USA and Tonga. That'll be a huge game.
Yeah.
USA and Tonga. They play completely different styles of games.
Yeah.
USA plays like they're playing sevens with
Yeah.
15 men.
Yeah.
And
super fast athletes.
And Tonga plays like they're all forwards.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how those very different game styles can kind of combat each other.
It'll be good to see if both teams use areas that they're better in, actually implement it in their game style. Because that'll be an amazing game to watch. You'll be seeing big hits coming from the Tongans, and then you'll be seeing pace and athleticism from the American team.
Yeah. Well, France absolutely pumped Italy last night. So France versus Argentina. That's going to be a massive game.
Yeah.
I want Argentina to do it,
Yeah.
but I think it'll be 2 or 3 points.
Yeah.
It'll be a close one.
Yeah, I think we could both agree England should top.
England should
top,
and I think they will.
Yeah, they're in good form at the moment.
What they did against Ireland the other week, they
And
scored
Wales
like 57
2 weeks
points.
before that,
Yeah,
you know?
England's explosive, and
They react well. They got height in the back line. They're the average height in the back line is the tallest amongst all the other big teams.
their forward pack as well, absolute beast. Like Mario Itoje, absolutely insane. Vunipola,
What's it called? Also read something that historically teams that have backs that are taller and forwards who are like the bigger forward pack, those have been things in the past that have benefited like teams that have won World Cups and all that, or have gone very far. But
Well-
I think it was mainly being pointed at England due to their form.
yeah. Well, I heard that Eddie Jones, the coach of England, he's been like fucking with the English teams' heads.
Yeah.
So like intentionally not making the buses turn up on time, just to see how the players react and like who kind of panics and who's good under pressure, and I don't know, just getting them in that mindset that anything can happen in a World Cup year and everything's really weird. And
That's very smart, actually.
but they're explosive. To think that they can go absolutely tryless against Wales, and then the very next week they score like 9 tries against Ireland. Just completely flip the switch just like that.
Yeah.
I think they're a team that you don't know what you're going to get until
Yeah.
they're there on the day.
Yeah.
And they could rock up and lose to Argentina, or they could rock up and beat New Zealand. You
Yeah.
just wouldn't know.
Yeah. But for that pool, I'm expecting England to top it, and I really hope Argentina comes second.
Yeah, I'm going to back that as well.
Yeah.
So France to get kicked out
Yeah.
of Pool C.
Yeah.
Pool D is a bit of a dark horse for the Pool of Death title. It could potentially be the Pool of Death, but
Yeah.
Australia, who have won 2 World Cups, Wales, Georgia, Fiji, and Uruguay. I think you wanted to talk about Fiji.
Yeah, the Fijian team, some of their star players, as Xavier said earlier, are playing overseas for the money in France. And at the beginning of the year, I was wondering if those international players are going to be allowed to come and play for their home team. And with Fiji, there's 2 players in the back line that I reckon are going to be the centre point of the back line, but very, very important for the team, and that's Semi Radradra and Joshua Tuisova. Both absolute beasts. Both of them used to play for Toulon together. Semi Radradra at 13 is just going to open up space with Tuisova. And Tuisova is a big man himself, so if you give him too much space, he's going to just run through you. And if they shut down Tuisova's space, that means there's going to be space opening up for Radradra. And by himself, he's also a beast. So I think Fiji are definitely going to be the dark horses.
They play just so unorthodox. Like, they don't play typical structured rugby. They're just
Sevens almost.
they're just absolute athletes, and they just run around people
Yeah.
and just make something out of nothing. Some of the
Yeah.
tries that I've seen Fiji score are just incredible, and no other country can score tries like that.
Yeah.
So they could easily put 3 or 4 tries on Australia.
Put them under pressure.
Or Wales.
Same thing with Wales.
I could see Fiji beating Wales,
Yeah.
honestly.
I think Fiji definitely are knocking on the door to go into the quarterfinals, 100%.
That's huge, though.
I think Fiji are going to be... Who's going to top that list?
Oh,
That's a hard one.
if you asked me a month ago, I would have said Wales. But I honestly want to say Australia now.
Yeah.
Because just watching the Wales past few tests over in Europe, they're just not scoring tries. Like, Wales is known for their defence, right? But I honestly trust the Australian attack to be able to get through that defence at least once or twice, which is probably all we need when
Likes of
Wales
Kurtley
aren't.
Beale,
Yeah, exactly.
Simon Karevi.
Only takes 1 or 2 players to do something, bit of X factor.
James
Score 1 or 2
O'Connor's
tries.
back. Ooh, James O'Connor's a change man. I've been following him on Instagram and his journey over his injury and with Sale Sharks, and he's honestly a change guy. He is so switched on. he's a beast. His form against New Zealand, the last game was a bit quiet, and the
He was
stats
good in
show
Perth,
that.
though.
He was very good in Perth. Very good, and that was his
His
first
pass
game
to
back.
Reece Hodge was insane for that first try.
And also, James O'Connor, there was another try they scored where he got the ball and he saw the space on the right side in Perth against New Zealand. He gets the ball, and an old James O'Connor would have tried to run for the line. And if you watch the replay, he probably would have made if he put his head down, ran for the line. It wasn't that far out. Instead, he passed it to Reece Hodge. Safest option, guaranteed try. 2011 James O'Connor would have definitely tried to go for the points himself, but
Yeah, you're right.
he's different, man, now.
100%. I heard Karevi was talking about in a press conference that they were all going to go out and just go to the city or something. And Karevi asked James if he wanted to go, and he was like, "Nah, man, I've got to focus on my diet. Got to go home, get a good night's sleep." Just like a completely changed man. Apparently, he's like into all of his yoga and shit now. So
yeah, well, he's been doing this thing. Keep forgetting what it's called, but it's a group that really focuses on more of the spiritual, emotional aspects of sport recovery. Just can't think of what the group's called right now.
Some hippie rehab thing.
And it's Saviour World. That's it, Saviour World. And also another player that's been part of Saviour World is the guy that won best player in the English League. He's a number 10 for Gloucester or something.
George Ford?
No. It's the guy that missed out on being number 10 for England.
Danny Cipriani.
Yeah. He's also part of Saviour World, and that guy has had a switch around too, I've heard. He's also a beast.
The English fans have gone nuts because Danny Cipriani didn't get picked in the World Cup team.
Yeah.
So, they've gone for George Ford and Owen Farrell. Yeah.
Beast.
I don't understand why they wouldn't just take 3 though. Like Danny Cipriani's been playing so well.
Yeah.
Even when I think he was at the Rebels a few years ago, and he was a beast.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't show that.
I think so.
Didn't know that.
Unless it was a different Cipriani, but I'm pretty sure that was him who was playing 10.
I think if Australia play like, how do I say it? With the potential and the skill they've got, they will topple Wales and top that list. But vice versa, if Wales do the same thing, it's going to be a hard game. If they both show up, I think the winner of that game, Australia vs Wales, will be the team that shows up to play. And if both do it, I don't think
it's going to be a massive game.
And Fiji, I really hope they get chucked in the mix there.
So what are we going to do in the mosh pit for Flume? While this game is being played, are we going to stream Australia versus Wales in the Flume mosh pit, or are we going to sell our tickets to listen out?
Oh man, I can watch the highlights of Australia versus Wales.
I'll record it once you want to get home.
Yeah, I'll
just
charge
game.
straight to yours after listening out.
Easy. But I reckon Georgia as well, like I was talking about earlier, the second division of the Six Nations, Georgia's really knocking on the door of the Six Nations, saying, give us a go, we're better than Italy kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
we've
Georgia,
really bagged Italy in this.
It's the one team we've just said they're trash. I mean, they're consistent at least.
Yeah, we even gave Namibia praise, you know.
Not Italy though. But yeah, Georgia will be wanting to do a similar thing as Canada, is secure that third spot so that they don't have to qualify for the next World Cup.
Yeah.
So that Georgia-Fiji game will also be huge.
Yeah, agreed.
Uruguay's going to finish last in the pool. But yeah, Georgia or Fiji to finish third. Not sure who.
Who do you reckon between Georgia or Uruguay?
Georgia. Georgia will pump Uruguay, I reckon, by 30 points.
I do like the Georgian team.
Yeah.
Should we do the
do a bracket?
Tournament bracket game?
Yeah, okay. We've had a bit of a
play around.
Bit of an idea. Alright,
hey guys,
so the tournament bracket.
Tournament bracket. Pool A.
So we said Ireland to win.
Ireland to top it.
Japan versus Scotland. We're tipping Japan. Controversial, but
I'm going to back Japan.
back Japan, home nation.
Home nation are in form.
They've got something to prove.
No one to have upsets. South Africa in the 2015 game.
Scotland's going to know it as well that it's coming.
Yeah.
That's why it's just going to be such an amazing game.
What is it? The rising sun is coming.
The rising sun.
The rising sun is coming.
Imagine just like 80,000 stadium
Japanese fans.
packed with Japanese people just absolutely wishing them to get over Scotland. It's got to happen.
Oh man. I'm keen. I'm hoping.
All right, so we'll back Japan. I'm
Pool
not
B.
sure if we made a decision on this. We said it was New Zealand or South Africa, but who's going to win that game?
I mean, from what you've said about New Zealand's forward pack, that is usually one of their stronger suits.
Don't get me
Not
wrong,
having-
they're a good forward pack. They're
Yeah.
they're young, they're not as heavy, and they're not as experienced.
They get flustered. Australia did it to them.
Yeah,
I mean, the forward pack in that Australian game was a top forward pack for New Zealand. But
yeah. it
they
was
weren't
the
getting
18.
the ball enough, and they started making decisions to attack the ball more on the rucks.
Yeah.
And then they started giving away penalties, Scott Barrett, bit unfortunate red card, but he still copped it.
Yeah. I think
Um,
it's going to be a massive game, but I am going to probably have to side with New Zealand.
Yeah, it's
Purely just because in that rugby championship game, I watched it and I thought South Africa was very lucky to make the draw just at the very last siren, score that siren try, and then Pollard made the 2 points extra to draw it up. But I think New Zealand probably deserved to win that game, and they didn't. And I don't think they'll let it happen again. So for that reason, I'll probably back New Zealand.
Yeah, I think, as much as I don't want to say it, I'm going to back New Zealand because they are a world-class team, and their Rugby World Cup experiences, they've got some serious experience in that team.
Yeah. So all right, we'll back New Zealand.
South Africa
they've
too.
won the last 2 World Cups, so they're no pushover.
Repeat.
South Africa for second in Pool B. All right. England, I think we already agreed on this. So England to top Pool C,
Definitely.
Argentina to knock out France.
Yep. I like
Okay,
that.
cool. We'll back Argentina.
And
there.
as you said, same thing as Pool A. I think Pool C, the teams that go through, are going to be hurting after playing Tonga and
Absolutely.
France. They don't go soft. And the USA team, they can also pack some heat.
Yeah, I
I
guess
think
you could
that's-
say the same thing in Pool D though.
Yeah.
Fiji and Georgia are going to be trying everything to topple one tier 1 nation. Wales or Australia, they don't care which one they get. They're going to be trying to at least win one of those games.
Yeah.
And Fiji, I think they will.
I think,
I just don't know who.
well, who do we think is going to win it?
I'm still backing Australia.
I'm also going to back Australia because in previous World Cups, they are an outstanding Rugby World Cup team. 2015, they were powerful. They were actually a very good team.
You look at the 4 years before the 2015 World Cup, we were terrible, and then we got our act together just before the World Cup. We won that first Bledisloe, and then we got pumped in Eden Park. It's almost deja vu. It's happened the exact same. We were very bad. We went to the last 2 spring tours and lost almost every game over in Europe. And then we kind of got our act back together this year. We beat New Zealand in that first Bledisloe, and then, of course, again, history repeated itself. We got thumped in Eden Park. But if we look at the 2015 World Cup, England was in our pool, Wales was in our pool. It was the pool of death, and Australia knocked out England, the home nation. So I think Australia in a World Cup are a different beast to Australia normally.
Definitely. Also, I forgot to mention, what are your thoughts on Adam Ashley Cooper being selected?
So I kind of think he got selected not on form, but because he's like a father figure.
Yeah, experience.
This is his 4th World Cup, and I think the only other person to do that is George Gregan, well, in Australia. And I think that Checker has picked him purely because in the locker room, he'll be that guy that knows where everyone should have their heads at and can keep everyone focused and
He's
that
gone.
sort of thing.
He's a good player. I used to not like Adam Ashley Cooper. Then I found when he went to the Japanese top league, came back, he was a changed player. I found he used to ball hog a lot, but now he loves passing that ball around. And I can't remember which game it was, if he did play one this year, but maybe the last game he played for the Wallabies, he was passing that ball around very well. So, I mean, I think if the Australian backline, if the Australian forward pack can get the ball cleanly to the backs and the backs execute, like Christian Lealiafano, Kurtley Beale, James O'Connor, Marika Korobetti, Samu Karevi.
I think Ashley Cooper came on for Korobetti.
Oh, is Korobetti not in the squad?
No, Korobetti's in the squad. He's the only specialist winger in the squad.
Yeah, okay.
We've got heaps of like utility backs. Obviously, Dane Howlett-Petty. Kurtley Beale can play anywhere.
Yeah, I guess.
James O'Connor can play anywhere.
Bernard
Adam Ashley Cooper can play anywhere.
Bernard Foley's also.
He can play 9. So I was thinking, we've only got 2 halfbacks. We didn't pick Fitz. So we've got Genia and we've got Nick White. And that's pretty risky in a World Cup. 5 weeks, we've only got 2 halfbacks, a specialist role.
Yeah. I also just want to point out, when Will Genia and Kurtley Beale link up, they are 2 dangerous players on the field. South Africa game, Will Genia picks up the ball and Kurtley Beale is running that hard line. Pass the ball. Exact same thing happened against New Zealand when Kurtley Beale scored with like the last few minutes ago.
So
Will Genia picked it up, did the exact same thing. Kurtley Beale and him are switched on. Not quite the same connection with Nick White. Will Genia is a beast, but yeah, I didn't know Bernard Foley can play 9. If he does, that'll be cool.
Well, I think he's the option if one of them goes down. But it's great that we have we've got Will Genia and Nick White like biting on each other's toes essentially.
Yeah.
Like Will Genia had the game of his life against South Africa and then backed it up, played a really good game against Argentina, and then the very next week he gets dropped for Nick White. And then Nick White plays the game of his life. And they're both playing at the absolute peak of their careers. And them fighting for that number 1 role is just fantastic for Australian halfbacks.
Yeah.
So we don't really lose out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if one of them goes down injured, obviously it's a 5-week tournament. Bernard Foley's probably the only person I'd trust to go in there at 9 and then have Lealiafano at 10.
I think Australia will top Pool D if they beat Wales.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, if they lose to Wales, they're out, but they need to beat Wales because I think Wales are very capable if they switched on and putting big points on teams. So bonus points play a role. But, I mean, it should come down. Whoever wins out of Wales and Australia should top it, unless Fiji really make it.
Yeah, well,
impact.
Fiji's our first game, and then Wales is our second game. So we've got our 2 biggest games straight away.
Yeah.
And then we've got essentially 2 weeks for our other players to get a bit of experience before we go to the quarters.
Yeah.
So we're looking good for quarters. Whether we're going in as first or second preference behind Wales or in front of Wales is a question that Fiji has to answer for us, probably.
Yeah, Fiji are definitely going to be capable of making a big change in that pool.
Even if they don't win, I think they could end up making some bodies hurt, cause some serious injuries in either the Aussies or the Welsh.
The way the Fijians play, as Xavier said earlier, they're just so unpredictable. That's really going to stress out Australia and Wales unless they shut that down very quickly. And to get to a result, I think Australia will top it, and second, it should be Wales.
I think we'd be foolish not to back Wales for second.
Wales,
they were number 1 in the world the other day. They still might be. Actually, no, England's moved up to 3rd. I think they overtook South Africa.
Yeah.
So, okay, with the results of that, going on those assumptions that we just made, England versus Wales is the first quarterfinal. England versus Wales. What are we thinking? I'm thinking England all the way over Wales.
Yeah, look, it really depends how the pool stage games go, because evidently England beat Wales and then Wales beat them the following week, but Wales didn't pump them. England pumped Wales the previous week. The next week was just a close win.
Yeah,
So whatever Wales did to contain England, or
Wales has an amazing defence.
yeah. But then with that said, they didn't put points on, so I don't really know what's going on with Wales. I don't know the dynamics there.
I'm gonna have to back England on this one, I think.
Yeah, they got a dangerous team. They got a very good team.
All right, so England to knock out the best in the world, apparently.
This one easy.
This next quarterfinal, it's a bit sad, but I think we're saying goodbye to the home nation. So New Zealand versus Japan.
I'm back in the rising sun.
Yeah, you got to back the Japanese to take out the Kiwis.
Yeah.
Easy.
They done it to South Africa, they could do it to the Kiwis.
I think if New Zealand does get to the grand final, then they're going to win the World Cup. I think if they lose, it'll be in the quarters or in the semis. But if they're playing Japan, then it won't be in the quarters.
Yeah, it's
I
as
think
much as I hate to say it, I think New Zealand
so
beat
Japan will have hedged all their bets on beating Scotland. They're going to be absolutely knackered. They're going to be absolutely knackered. All they wanted to do was make the quarters. They've done it. Now they can go home. I think New Zealand's going to beat Japan by like 40 points. If they verse in the quarters.
if they turn up and verse. Yeah. But with that said, New Zealand also their hardest game in their pool's their first one, so they've effectively got 3 to 4 weeks and a bit to prepare, beating the other teams that they should, to prepare for this quarters. Japan, as Xavier said, because they said Japan versus Scotland's their last pool game,
Yeah,
which
it's
would
the
be
very
a couple
last pool
days
game
before the quarter, wouldn't it?
It's about 6 days before, 7 days.
I'm
That's
gonna
an
back
easy one.
New Zealand.
We got to back New Zealand on that one. Okay, this is a delicious quarterfinal. Australia versus Argentina.
Ish.
Yeah, when Argentina get to a quarterfinal, they really ramp it up.
Yeah.
They're a passionate nation,
Oh yeah.
and they're gonna bring it to us.
Their national anthem, when they sing it, so much pride. Damn.
Ooh. Hectic, but I'm gonna have to back the Aussies.
Australia, they should be able to beat them. They should be able to do it. It'll be a hard game, but if they control it, play the game their way, they should just slowly build and beat them.
I can see us being down at halftime,
Yeah.
but I can't see us losing. It'll be a close game though.
I'm going to call this now on video. That's going to be either a very low scoring game or a very high. I don't think there's going to be a middle. I think both teams are going to be going
Well, I
super
think
hard at each other.
both teams have pretty wicked attacks.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be high scoring.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be one of those games where it's super, the range or the gap between the two scores is going to be big. I think it's going to be...
Both Australia and Argentina play attacking, dry weather football, and that's exactly what they're going to get in Japan. It won't be raining, hopefully. The weather's looking good.
Yeah.
And it's also going to be like 25 to 30 degrees.
Yeah.
So that's going to really suit both Argentina and Australia's style of playing.
Yep.
So that's just going to really just be an explosive game of plenty of tries. It's just who can score more.
So Argentina also, I think, they depend a big amount on their kicking game, especially taking points and all that. So hopefully this doesn't happen, but if someone gets injured in those departments, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
And Australia, they're a good team.
Australia plays possession though. If we can, exactly as you said earlier, the only reason we beat New Zealand is because we didn't give them the ball.
Yeah.
So if we can do that against any team, we'll win.
And I mean, would you agree that we're perhaps not playing an aerial kicking game since Folau's not there?
No, and it's pretty obvious. Beale's biggest weakness is under the hard ball.
Yeah. And that's where Folau was an absolute king. And you watch the Waratahs in the Super Rugby, Bernard Foley, when he was playing and Folau was playing, which usually was the case, Bernard Foley would always be putting that high ball up, and Folau would majority of the time be catching it, and that just doesn't happen with this current Wallabies team, and it shouldn't happen. As you said, when they retained possession, whoosh, they were dangerous.
That being said, Reece Hodge kicking for touch off a penalty is one of the best kickers for touch in the world. The amount of metres he gains on a penalty, pretty good.
This guy's got range.
Yeah, a bit worried about Christian Leali'ifano under pressure after the Eden Park match. He missed his first 2 kicks, and then we ended up scoring 0 points for the whole game. So,
Yeah.
oh well, I think I'm gonna have to back Australia here against Argentina.
Yeah.
All right.
Jeevers, this game.
Well, here we go. Another big one. Ireland versus South Africa. I don't know.
That is such a hard game to decide.
The other ones I was pretty sure, but this one's tough.
I think Ireland is very much a team that studies their opponents.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat New Zealand last year. It was a very close game, but the only try that was scored, and it was by England, the winger Jacob Stockdale, off a line out, went to 12, forgot his name again. He would usually crash ball it. The New Zealand line-out were coming across hard. They were coming across hard to defend that crash ball. He just passed it back to the left winger, and there was a massive gap, space for him to move. So I think Ireland really do study their teams, but I don't think you can study physicality, because obviously they're going to know South Africa are going to be physical. Getting prepared for that's just a physical, mental thing about how you turn up. Again, if South Africa use that forward pack well, physical, backs play smart. Andre Pollard, his kicking game's good for points. He doesn't really kick much during the game, I'd say.
I'm going to have to back South Africa purely mentally, because Ireland has never made the semi-finals. Ever.
Yeah.
And South Africa's won the World Cup twice. So I think purely just based on mentality, Ireland's going to not be up to it against South Africa in the quarterfinal. And I also heard whispers that Johnny Sexton's wife isn't even going to Japan. And apparently the rhetoric was, oh yeah, Ireland's never made the semis. So it sounds like deep in the Ireland camp, faith is running low.
That's bad.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to back South Africa on this one.
I'm going to back South Africa as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to back them.
All right. We're into the semis.
This
We're into the crunch time.
is big stuff.
England versus New Zealand
Where are they playing?
in the first semi-final.
Yokohama City.
Yokohama.
Oh, both are in Yokohama City.
So I said it before, if New Zealand loses a game in the knockout stages, it'll be the semi or the quarters. It won't be the grand final. If they get to the final, they'll win it. And I hope to God England can beat New Zealand.
Yeah, I mean, New Zealand is one of my favourite teams just because I really like their players, but an England appearance in a grand final, I think, would be quite big time. English as a country, I hope they don't beat New Zealand, but just to add a bit of zest in there, I think England hopefully to beat New Zealand, but
Something has to go seriously wrong in the New Zealand camp, though.
yeah, they're such a switched-on team.
They're so good, but they usually do get a little bit choky around World Cup time. Obviously, they're not in the last 2. They won the last 2, but before that, there was a definite pattern of New Zealand always being the favourites, and then they just didn't get it done.
Yeah.
So
It's also hard, the New Zealand backline especially. Sonny Bill Williams, Beauden Barrett, Ben Smith, and not even Ryan Crotty, no.
Goodhue got picked.
Yeah, but the guys
Crotty
who
got picked
played
as
in the 2015 Rugby World Cup from the backs.
Okay, yeah.
Beauden Barrett, Sonny Bill, and Ben Smith are the only ones I can think of. But with that said, George Bridge, Siva Reese, Richie Mwanga, Jack Goodhue, all
Sever Reese is
Crusaders
so
players. The Crusaders were unstoppable this Super Rugby. Those players are all very good. And with that said, I think Sonny Bill was put in the squad over Nani Laumape because of his experience.
Yeah, I felt bad for Laumape.
Yeah, he's a
He's
great
bloody
player.
good player. Deserved to be there.
But I think, and also Steve Hansen, he said at the 2015 grand final when he pulled Conrad Smith off and he put Sonny Bill on, he knew that was going to be a decision that maybe would have a bit of controversy, but he said he trusts Sonny Bill to go out there and get the job done, and he's put him in the squad now. And I think Steve Hansen's put that same trust in Sonny Bill.
Similarly to getting rid of Owen Franks and putting in La Lala. Just completely big call.
Yeah.
But Steve Hansen obviously knows what he's done.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
He's won a couple of World Cups already. So
yeah, he's got good stats. I think. Quick thing, we didn't talk about this earlier. Who do you think's gonna be playing 10? Richie or Bowden?
I think Bowden.
Yeah.
Same. I think they tried to make it work in the Rugby Championship and it didn't work.
It didn't.
They won one, lost one, drew one. And that's unheard of for New Zealand for a Rugby Championship. They finished third.
And I don't think there's appropriate to put Bowden Barrett at fullback, although he did play in fullback through his formative career leading up to the All Blacks. But you can't put Bowden Barrett at fullback when you've got Ben Smith, Geordie Barrett, who could go fullback,
yeah.
George Bridge, Siva Reese, Rico Ioane to take the wing.
It's just like, if you have the best number 10 in the world,
play him at
why
10.
would you play him at 15?
Yeah, exactly.
Play him at 10. Sure, Richard Mo'unga is good, but he's no Bowden Barrett.
Yeah.
Bowden Barrett is the best in the world.
When Bowden Barrett comes to play, whoosh, jeepers. The man's got pace.
And if you ask him,
kicking.
What position do you want to play? He'll say 10.
Yeah.
So I think for that reason...
And they would put faith in him. In the Rugby Championship, as you said, they were trying something, but I think if New Zealand, or Steve Hansen and the coaches turn around and go, Bodie, you're playing 10 for this Rugby World Cup, that's going to be putting a lot of faith in him, and he's going to show up. He's not going to crumble or anything. He's going to show up. He's such a composed guy.
Yeah.
With that said, I'm trying to think maybe the possibility of Richie Mo'unga playing 12. I just don't see it.
No.
Likes of Ryan Crotty there, Sonny Bill, Anton Leonard-Brown, and Jack Goodhue.
Anton Leonard-Brown is too good, bro.
Those guys are outstanding in the centres. And I'm actually really happy for the return of Ryan. But England versus New Zealand, yeah. England also have powerhouse.
So decision time. England or New Zealand to win the first semi?
I think New Zealand, because of their experience. Brodie Retallick will be playing by then.
Yep. Best lock in the world, by the way.
I think New Zealand with that, just their clinical finishing, their composure, their experience, the forward pack. I think New Zealand will win that game. But I'm going to say it now, I'm not going to be surprised if England win it. It should be a good clash.
It'll be a huge clash. All right.
What are you going to say?
Just because I don't want Australia to play New Zealand, because Australia can't beat New Zealand for whatever reason, whatever mentality, I want to play England in the grand final. But New Zealand will probably make it.
Do you think Australia's going to beat South Africa?
Yeah, buddy. All right, we'll go with New Zealand over England. All right, moving on to the big battle.
Just to get some reference, he's already pre-selected Australia to beat South Africa.
I mean, easy.
This is going to be a good clash.
All right, so we've tipped New Zealand over England. Now moving on to the second semi-final. Australia versus South Africa, an age-old battle.
Yeah, it's...
Jeez.
Going off the Rugby Championship, obviously South Africa beat them, but I don't know. I think Australia, if they turn up to play, they definitely have the skill to beat South Africa. But the physicality South Africa brings, the skill themselves, kicking game, yeah, I just can't really
I mean, a month ago, South Africa didn't even know who was going to be the captain in the World Cup.
Yeah, I don't even know where Sia Khaleesi was.
He was injured.
He was injured?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I don't know, they just seem fractured. Like, as I said earlier, over a whole tournament, I feel like those cracks are going to show. And by the time they get to the semi-final, Australia's just going to knock them off.
I mean, the last World Cup semi-final was South Africa, New Zealand. South Africa just lost, which was extremely sad. But with that said, I was surprised South Africa even made it to the semi-final back then.
Oh, I was surprised Australia made it to the bloody semis
Final.
as well. Barely even got over Scotland.
I think... yeah.
I think we're going to have to do a scissors, paper, rock on this one.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're tipping South Africa
Oh, it's just hard.
with your
like,
heart, and I'm
heart
tipping
and
Australia.
It's just hard. If Australia do what they did last World Cup, go through clinical, playing really well, they will topple South Africa. And if what Xavier says is true, South Africa eventually cracking with everything else that's going on, they will lose. But if that doesn't happen and South Africa come through strong as a team, especially if they beat New Zealand, if they beat New Zealand, that's going to be a huge up for them, especially right at the beginning of the World Cup. So, yeah, there's a paper, scissors, rock.
Yeah.
Paper, scissors, rock.
Oh, no! Okay, so the fate of my nation just lost the World Cup. Just in the hand of my in my fist. So South Africa just made the World Cup final
By 3 points.
by 3 points, apparently,
Australia, you know.
because I went for rock.
I was
Rock
about to go
always
for
wins.
I was about to go for scissors, and
You should have.
yeah.
Oh well, we have a classic grand final.
New Zealand.
New Zealand, South Africa.
You know what I hate to say? I'm not sure if I mentioned this, or maybe off camera I mentioned this. I literally said, I don't think New Zealand are gonna make it to the finals this year. But
When you
after our
go through
in-depth
the stats,
analysis,
though,
they're
New
there.
Zealand has to make it. They have to. Purely because I don't want New Zealand to win 3 in a row, I'm going to tip South Africa for this one. If South Africa can get over Australia, and who'd they play earlier than that? They got over someone else that was Ireland. If they can beat Ireland and
think that
then
would
beat
really be bad for
Australia,
themselves.
they've just beaten 2 of the prominent front runners to win this World Cup.
And if
They
they
will-
beat New Zealand in the pool stage, that's
Well, they'll go to that grand final
they'll definitely
thinking they can do
give them
it.
belief. Also, we forgot to mention, if South Africa beat Ireland and go up to play Australia, I think that's going to be a massive booster for them. Playing Ireland and beating them, that's
Yeah,
going to
true.
be big time for them. And I hate to say it, Australia beating Argentina,
Not as big.
yeah, not as big.
Yeah,
So-
I have to agree with that. Okay,
And
so
with New Zealand playing Japan in the quarter, that's a bit of a joke.
yeah,
And in
That's
England,
true. New
I
Zealand
think-
doesn't have the same sort of preparation as
Yeah.
what South Africa would have to go through.
I think if New Zealand were to play England in the semi and they beat them, it would almost just be like scraping through because the English team would be extremely strong.
Yeah,
It would be
the
hard.
English are too good. Their forward pack and their back line are insane.
Whereas if South Africa go beating Ireland, pumped up already, beat Australia, they would be going into that grand final pretty G'd up.
And I also just don't think South Africa won't let New Zealand get 3 in a row.
It's
South Africa hasn't won since 2007, 12 years ago. So they're going to be wanting it.
and if South Africa and New Zealand did go to the grand final, I think that would be a real big tester for those 10s, Andre Pollard and Beauden Barrett, if Beauden's playing 10.
Yeah,
I think that would be serious kicking game for points. Drop goals. Andre Pollard's not afraid of a drop goal. I haven't really seen Beauden rip into a
Beauden
drop
went for
goal,
one recently.
but he would obviously take that chance. Richie Mwanga on that hand did like a couple drop goals in his career for the Crusaders. I don't know.
I mean, anything can happen.
It's
but-
hard.
Just because I don't want 3 in a row, I'm going to have to back South Africa here. And
Yeah.
it makes me sad saying, South Africa to win the World Cup, but we went through it all and look where we are.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
it genuinely could happen.
I mean, I don't want to do it to them.
Oh, this guy, look at him.
Where's that box symbol? There it is.
Alright, get rid of that garbage.
Winners.
Alright, whatever. We'll tip South Africa to get over New Zealand. Even though we didn't tip them to win in the group stages. We just don't want New Zealand to win 3 in a row.
Alternatively, if England beat New Zealand, which is very possible, and Australia to beat South Africa, which is very possible, a England-Australia final.
That would be huge.
That would
Equally as plausible.
I think, obviously, going through the stats, South Africa predicted to win it. That can easily not happen. I mean,
It's World Cup. This World Cup,
Yeah.
honestly, there's probably 7 teams that can win it on the day.
yeah.
I'd
Who
say
are Ireland,
Australia can win it,
Australia.
New Zealand, South Africa, Argentina could win it,
France
England,
could probably
Ireland,
win it.
Wales. 7. And then France if you really stretch it.
Yeah, France, look.
When's the last time that there's been 8 teams that could possibly win the World Cup? This is the most
And bear in
open
mind,
one. And
those are 8 teams that are tier 1 could win it. I don't want to make out as if Fiji can win the World Cup, but Fiji can definitely throw a spanner in the works,
Yeah.
especially for Wales and Australia, and that can knock them off their game
Yep.
easily.
The
And then
thing-
in Pool A, with Scotland and Japan,
yeah,
whatever happens there, that can also cause a little
Yeah.
bit of chaos.
thing with Fiji,
And
they
Pool
can
C, as
beat-
you said.
they can win a tier 1 nation game. They can maybe win 2, but to get to the World Cup final, you need to win three or four massive games just to get to the World Cup final. And I think Fiji's capable of 1, maybe 2, but they wouldn't get all the way.
Teams that definitely can, when you iron it down, are having to win 3 to 4 tier 1
Like
teams.
massive games, yeah.
New Zealand,
Yeah,
Australia,
yeah,
South Africa, Ireland,
yeah.
Wales, and England.
Yeah.
Those are the 6, I'd say. The 7th, who did you chuck in there?
I
before?
had Argentina and France, yeah,
Yeah.
get rid of them.
I think those teams, and then ironing it down to experience, Australia and New Zealand, they've clearly got the experience. South Africa has that World Cup experience. England
Yeah.
has
Well,
previously
they're
won
the
World
4
Cup.
nations that have won.
Yeah. That just leaves Ireland and Wales. And in the last month, with those teams playing, Ireland getting pumped by England, Wales getting pumped by England, I just really think a winner of the Rugby World Cup would be Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, or England.
So the trophy's not going to a new nation. It's going to stay in one of those 4 nations.
If things carry on like they are. But with that also said, Ireland and Wales can easily win the World Cup just as much as the others. But
Well, Wales came,
I'm just looking at form right now. That's it.
yeah, Wales came 4th in 2011. They did pretty well in 2015 as well. So they've been there or thereabouts, but I don't think they've made the final.
And as you said, yeah, they're really going to be feeling that pressure. And if Johnny Sexton's missus isn't coming, you know.
You got to say, in 2015, Wales knocked out England just as much as Australia knocked out England.
Yeah, it's true.
That was massive. So Wales can definitely play in those big matches.
And Fiji almost beat England in the opening game. Almost.
All right,
And obviously Japan beat South Africa, which is a bit hurt, which means
What
Japan
happened there?
definitely can bring it to Scotland. What happened there? Japan just
I know.
played
I watched
an
that game live. It
outstanding
was
game.
crazy.
Yeah, I remember. I'm South African fan, but when I was watching that Japanese game, I was pretty low key hoping Japan would win because just their
was so
energy and the
stoked, bro.
crowd, it was just massive. And I knew South Africa weren't gonna not make it through the pool stages. Like I was
Right.
still pretty confident.
So, should we see how the pool stages actually play out?
Yeah. We will return for a analysis of what we said and then a reconstructed projection of the future.
Easy. All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, my dudes.